Have you ever felt that your birth was more than just a coincidence? That you were placed on this earth at an exact moment for a reason greater than you could imagine? The universe, time, destiny, everything aligned perfectly to bring you here. But what if I told you that your birth month holds a secret message? A divine key to understanding your mission, your strengths, and even your struggles. Today, we embark on a journey through ancient wisdom, sacred texts, and the whispers of time itself to uncover the hidden biblical meaning behind your birth month. Each month carries a unique spiritual energy, an unspoken calling that has been woven into your soul since the moment you entered this world. And by the end of this video, you will not only understand your own divine significance, but you may discover that you were chosen for something far beyond the ordinary. Let's begin. January, the beginning of all things, the first breath of the year, the dawn of a new cycle, and those born in this month carry within them the same power that shaped the universe. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1:1. Just as the Lord brought forth light from darkness, January-born individuals possess an extraordinary ability to see what others cannot, to lead, to pioneer, to create. You are the architects of destiny, the ones who carve paths where none existed before. Since the dawn of time, beginnings have carried a sacred significance. The first spark of fire, the first heartbeat, the first spoken word, all mark the birth of something new. And just as God stood before the vast emptiness and declared, "Let there be light," so too are you called to bring light into the world. If you were born in January, you have been given a gift, the power to initiate, to inspire, to transform. You are not one to wait for change, you create it. You are the first step, the one who dares to walk ahead when others hesitate. But with this gift comes great responsibility. Just as God spoke the universe into existence, you too must be mindful of the power of your words and actions. What you build must not be for yourself alone, but for a higher purpose. Your ideas, your visions, your dreams, they are not just yours, they are part of a divine plan. Throughout history, great leaders, inventors, and revolutionaries have shared your calling. Abraham, who stepped into the unknown to father a nation. Moses, who led his people through the wilderness toward freedom. Noah, who built an ark before the flood had even begun. These men did not wait for a sign, they became the sign, and so must you. If you were born in January, you were not meant for mediocrity. You were meant for greatness, not in the eyes of the world, but in the eyes of God. You are a foundation, a starting point, a force of renewal. When others see only darkness, you see potential. When others give up, you push forward. Your destiny is to build, to lead, and to create something lasting. You carry the spirit of Genesis, the courage to start anew, the wisdom to see what could be, and the strength to manifest it into reality. And if you were born on January 1st, your calling is even greater. This is the first day of the year, the very foundation upon which everything else is built. In the book of John we read, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." John 1:1. January 1st is not just a date, it is a declaration, a bold statement that a new cycle has begun, that creation is once again in motion. Those born on this day carry within them the ability to set things in motion, to establish what comes next. You are visionaries, leaders, pioneers. You do not follow, you forge the way forward. But to whom much is given, much is expected. The burden of being a pioneer is that the path is often lonely. You may find yourself misunderstood, ahead of your time, carrying ideas that others are not yet ready to accept. You may struggle with doubt, questioning whether the fire inside you is truly divine or merely a fleeting spark. But do not fear, for every great leader in history has faced this same test. Even Jesus himself. Jesus was born to bring new life to the world, to fulfill a prophecy, to usher in a new covenant. But before he could complete his mission, he had to face temptation, rejection, and suffering. Those born in January are no strangers to challenges. You may feel the weight of responsibility, the pressure to always be strong, always be right, always lead. But here is your reminder: even the strongest must rest. Even the pioneers must sometimes pause and look back to ensure that others can follow. You are not meant to carry the burden alone. Just as the river carves its way through stone, you will find a way forward. Just as the sun rises each day, your purpose will become clear. You were born to create, to lead, to illuminate the darkness with the fire inside you. And if you were born on January 6th, your mission is even more profound. January 6th is the Feast of Epiphany, the day when the Magi followed a star and found Jesus. It is a day of revelation, a day when the divine becomes visible. If you were born on this day, you carry within you the gift of seeking and finding truth. You are a seeker, never satisfied with simple answers, always searching for deeper meaning. You are drawn to mysteries, to wisdom, to the pursuit of knowledge beyond the physical world. Like the Magi, you follow the signs others ignore. You do not simply believe. You seek proof, you experience, you witness. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. Those born on January 6th are revealers of truth. You have been gifted with the ability to see what others overlook, to read between the lines, to understand the hidden forces at play. This is both a blessing and a challenge, for the more truth you uncover, the harder it may be to find where you belong. But take heart. God placed you here for a reason. You are not lost. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are following a star, just as the Magi did. Your journey is one of discovery, and every revelation you find brings you closer to your divine purpose. For those born in January, the message is clear. You were created to begin, to take the first step, to speak light into darkness, to build a world that does not yet exist. You are not an accident. You are not random. You are a piece of something far greater than yourself. And now the question remains, what will you create? Transition, where winter begins to loosen its grip and the first whispers of spring emerge. Those born in this month are not bound by rigidity or convention. They flow like water, moving between worlds, bridging gaps, and softening even the hardest of hearts. If you were born in February, you were given a heart that feels deeply, an intuition that perceives what others overlook, and a soul that understands the silent cries of the world. You are not merely an observer of life, you absorb it. You experience emotions in their rawest form, sensing the invisible threads that connect people, the unspoken words that linger in the air, the sorrow hidden behind forced smiles. But do not mistake this depth for weakness. True strength is not found in hardened hearts, but in those who remain open despite the pain. You are an empath, a healer, a peacemaker. Throughout history, those who have changed the world were not always warriors or kings. Some were poets, prophets, and visionaries, those who saw beyond the surface, who felt the pulse of humanity, who understood what others could not. And if you were born in February, you are one of them. The Bible speaks of a moment of deep spiritual significance that took place in February, the presentation of Jesus at the temple. When the time came for the purification rites required by the law of Moses, Joseph and Mary took him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. Luke 2:22. This was not merely a ritual, it was a consecration, a moment of divine acknowledgement, a sign that even from infancy, Jesus was marked for something greater. And if you were born on February 2nd, your life mirrors this sacred act. You too have been set apart, called for something beyond yourself. You may have always felt different, as though there is a quiet voice urging you toward a deeper purpose, something you cannot yet name but have always known. This is not a burden, it is a privilege. The world is filled with noise, with distractions, with people lost in the chaos of their own thoughts. But you, February-born, carry a gift. the ability to listen, to truly hear what is being said and what is not, to perceive the wounds that words cannot express, to offer healing where others see only damage. But with this gift comes a challenge. The more you feel, the more you are vulnerable to pain. The more you understand, the more the world's sorrows weigh on you. It is easy to retreat, to shut yourself off, to believe that your sensitivity is a curse rather than a blessing. But it is not. For the Lord is close to the broken-hearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. Your heart was designed to bear burdens, but not alone. Your empathy is a reflection of God's own heart, a fragment of divine love placed within you. You were meant to bring comfort, not to carry every sorrow as your own. And that is where your greatest strength lies. Throughout the Bible, God chose those with pure hearts to fulfill his most important plans. Samuel, a prophet born of a mother's desperate prayers, was consecrated to God from birth. His life was one of listening, hearing God's voice in a world that had gone deaf to it. David, before he was a king, was a shepherd, a caretaker, a protector, a defender of the weak. Mary, the mother of Jesus, was chosen not for her power or status, but for her purity of heart, her willingness to say yes when God called. If you were born in February, your mission is not to fight, but to heal. Not to conquer, but to mend. Not to speak loudly, but to listen deeply. You may have noticed that you attract people who are lost, who are wounded, who are searching for something they cannot name. This is not a coincidence. You were placed here to be a bridge, a refuge, a light in the fog. But just as you care for others, you must also care for yourself. A candle cannot light the way if it has burned out. A healer cannot heal if they too are broken. You must learn to receive the same love that you so freely give. You are a river, flowing with wisdom, understanding, and compassion. But even a river must have a source. And that source is God. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. You are not meant to figure everything out alone. You are not responsible for solving every problem, for carrying every burden, for healing every soul. Your role is to be a vessel through which God's love flows. And when you allow that love to flow freely, without resistance, without fear, you become unstoppable. For those born in February, the message is clear. You were created to feel deeply, to see beyond the surface, to be a bridge between hearts, a force of harmony in a world of division. Your presence alone is a healing touch, your voice a balm to the weary, your soul a safe haven. And if you were born on February 2nd, your calling is even greater. You are a consecrated one, a life set apart for a divine mission. Do not fear your sensitivity. It is not a weakness. It is your greatest strength. And now the question remains, how will you use it? Month of transformation, of shifting seasons, of endings that birth new beginnings. If you were born in March, you are an explorer, a seeker, a wanderer of both the physical and the spiritual world. You are not content with the surface of things. You dig deeper. You ask questions others are afraid to ask. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What lies beyond what I can see? And because of this, you are often misunderstood. The world prefers comfort. It fears those who disrupt the status quo, who challenge what is accepted, who push beyond what is known. But you, March-born, were never meant to conform. You were meant to discover. In the Bible, we see this same restless spirit in Abraham. The Lord had said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you." Genesis 12:1. God called Abraham away from everything familiar, sending him into the unknown with only a promise. He had no map, no certainty, only faith. And that is your story as well. If you were born in March, your life is one of constant movement, not just in the physical sense, but in thought, in emotion, in spirit. You are drawn to the unknown, to the unseen, to the mysteries that others fear to explore. You are the one who dares to leave behind the old in search of something greater, but this path is not easy. Those who seek truth often find themselves alone. Those who crave understanding are often met with resistance. Those who step into the unknown must battle fear, doubt, and the temptation to turn back. But God calls you forward. One of the most pivotal events in history is linked to March, the Great Flood during Noah's time. In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the second month, on that day all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened. Genesis 7:11. If you were born on March 17th, your life carries this same theme of destruction and renewal. The flood was not just about judgment, it was about washing away the old to make room for the new. Noah was not chosen simply because he was righteous, but because he was willing to obey when no one else would. And if you were born in March, you have been given that same strength. You may have felt that life has taken things from you, that relationships, dreams, or even entire seasons of your life have been swept away like a flood. But know this, every loss was making room for something greater. Like Noah, you have been called to prepare for a future that others cannot yet see. While the world is content in its comfort, you have always felt an urgency, a knowledge that change is coming and you must be ready. And though the storms may come, you will not be destroyed. March is also the month of divine announcements. On March 25th, we celebrate the Annunciation, the day the angel Gabriel appeared to Mary and revealed that she would give birth to Jesus. The angel went to her and said, "Greetings, you who are highly favored, the Lord is with you." Luke 1:28. If you were born on this day, your life is destined to bring light into the world. Mary did not fully understand her calling. She did not ask for it. But when the angel told her of God's plan, she responded with faith. "I am the Lord's servant. May your word to me be fulfilled." Luke 1:38. And this is where your greatest challenge lies. Like Mary, you may not always understand why you have been chosen. You may not know where the path leads. You may wrestle with doubt, questioning whether your dreams and visions are truly divine or merely the product of your own mind. But trust this, God does not place restlessness in a soul without reason. If you feel drawn towards something greater, it is because you were made for something greater. For those born in March, the message is clear. You were created to explore, to question, to seek beyond what is known. You are not meant to stay in one place. Your mind, your heart, and your spirit crave discovery of truth, of wisdom, of deeper understanding. The world will not always understand you, but the world needs you. You are the ones who break barriers, the ones who challenge the old ways, the ones who refuse to settle for half-truths and empty traditions. And that is why God has called you to search, to seek, to walk into the unknown, knowing that He will guide you. And now the question remains, where will your journey take you next? Transition, of shifting seasons, of endings that birth new beginnings. If you were born in April, your life carries the essence of transformation. You are not here to remain the same. You are here to evolve, to rise, to embrace change, and to lead others through it. The world often fears change. It clings to the familiar, resists the unknown, and dreads the uncertainty of what comes next. But you, April-born, you were made for this. Just as April bridges the gap between winter and spring, between the cold and the warmth, between the old and the new, you are a bridge between worlds. You understand what others do not, that endings are not the final chapter, but the first page of something greater. And because of this, you are a warrior of renewal. April and the death that leads to life. In the Bible, April is the month of sacrifice. It is in this month that Holy Week unfolds, leading to the crucifixion of Jesus. On Good Friday, the world watched as Christ was nailed to the cross. They believed it was the end. That hope had died, that all he had built, all he had preached, had crumbled to nothing. But you know the truth. Resurrection was coming, and so it is with your life. If you were born in April, you may have felt that certain chapters of your life ended too soon, that dreams faded before they had the chance to bloom, that people left when you needed them the most. But understand this, every ending is a preparation for something greater. On Holy Saturday, there was silence, no answers, no explanations, just waiting. And that is often the hardest part of your journey, the waiting, the uncertainty, the feeling that nothing is happening. But you must trust, because Easter always follows. On the third day Jesus rose. He shattered the finality of death, proving that nothing truly ends, everything is reborn. And this is what you carry inside you, the power to begin again, the strength to let go. April-born souls have a rare gift, the ability to release what no longer serves them. You are not one to hold on to things that drag you down. When something no longer adds value to your life, you let it go. And this is not weakness, it is strength. Jesus too had to let go. At the Last Supper, he knew what was coming. He knew the betrayal, the pain, the sacrifice that awaited him. And yet, he accepted it. He did not fight to hold on to his earthly life. He embraced his purpose, knowing that something greater lay beyond. If you were born in April, you have this same power. You do not fear change because you trust what comes next. You do not linger in places where you are not meant to stay. You walk forward, head held high, knowing that a new path will always open before you, and while others may struggle to close doors, you have mastered the art of turning endings into beginnings. Born for resurrection. April-born souls are not just survivors, they are reborn time and time again. You have faced hardships, heartbreak and loss, but every time you rise, like a phoenix from the ashes, like the first flower after winter, like the empty tomb after the crucifixion, you are proof that nothing is ever truly lost. And because of this, you inspire others. People look at you and see hope. They see that no matter how dark life gets, light will always return, that no matter how many times they fall, they can rise again. You are a symbol of resilience, a testament to the truth that pain is not the end, growth is. April and the spirit of liberation. April is also the month of Passover, the celebration of the Israelites' escape from Egypt. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. Exodus 14:21. The Red Sea parted, and the people who had been enslaved for generations walked into freedom. This is the essence of April. If you were born in this month, you carry the spirit of liberation. You were not made to be trapped, not in situations, not in mindsets, not in relationships that hold you back. You were made to break free. You may have felt the weight of expectations, of rules, of people trying to tell you who you should be. But your soul has always known the truth. You were born to walk your own path, to carve your own way, to refuse to be held down by anything that limits your spirit. And just as Moses led his people to freedom, you have the ability to lead others to their own liberation. Your presence in someone's life brings clarity. You help them see where they are stuck. You show them the way forward. But remember, even Moses had to trust the unseen. He did not know how they would cross the Red Sea. He only knew that God would make a way. And so must you. The April calling. For those born in April, the message is clear. You were created to transform, to let go of what is dying and step into what is being born. To rise from the ashes, stronger than before. To guide others through their own darkness toward the light. To trust that even in silence, God is working. Your life is a cycle of death and rebirth, of endings and beginnings, of sacrifice and renewal, and each time you emerge stronger. The world may not always understand you. People may ask why you change so much, why you refuse to stay the same, why you always seek something greater. But they do not realize that this is who you are. You were not made for stagnation. You were made to evolve, to break free, to show others that life is not a straight line. It is a series of rebirths, each one leading closer to who you were meant to be. And now the question remains, what will you rise into next? Bursts into full bloom when the world awakens from its slumber and embraces the beauty of creation. If you were born in May, you were not meant to exist in chaos. You were meant to bring order, to build, to create something lasting. The world may be filled with uncertainty, but you see the patterns, the connections, the hidden structures that others overlook. You understand that nothing is truly random, that behind every event, every relationship, every opportunity, there is a divine design. And you are the architect, the builders of stability. In the Bible, creation did not happen by accident. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, Genesis 1:1. Each day had a purpose. Each element was placed exactly where it needed to be. The sun, the stars, the land, the sea, everything in its perfect place. And that is the essence of those born in May. You do not build recklessly. You build with purpose. Your life is not marked by impulsiveness, but by careful planning, by thoughtful decisions, by a deep understanding of what it takes to create something that will endure. You are the foundation makers, the planners, the ones who see not just what is, but what could be. And this is why people are drawn to you. In a world that feels unstable, you offer stability. When others are lost, you provide direction. Where there is chaos, you create harmony. The strength to stand firm. Jesus spoke of two types of people. Everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. Matthew 7:24-25. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. Matthew 7:26-27. If you were born in May, you are the wise builder. You do not build on fleeting emotions or temporary desires. You build on truth, on wisdom, on foundations that will not crumble when the storms come. And because of this, your life is not easily shaken. But this does not mean your path is easy. Just like a builder must face storms, obstacles, and setbacks, you too will encounter moments where everything feels like it is falling apart. Yet deep down, you know that challenges are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to strengthen your foundation. And when others see only disaster, you see an opportunity to rebuild. The spirit of courage. May is not just a month of stability, it is also a month of bravery. In 1 Samuel 17, we read the story of David and Goliath. David, a young shepherd, stood before a giant with nothing but a sling and 5 stones. Everyone else saw defeat, but David, he saw victory. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. 1 Samuel 17:37. And with a single stone, he took down the giant. If you were born on May 5th, this courage runs through your veins. Like David, you do not back down in the face of adversity. You do not cower before giants. You may not always have the biggest weapons, the strongest army, or the loudest voice, but you have something greater. You have faith. And when you stand firm in your faith, no obstacle is too great, no enemy too powerful, no mountain too high. For those born in May, courage is not about recklessness. It is about knowing that God walks before you, and because of that, you cannot fail. Born to communicate. May is also a month of expression, of connection, of the power of words. In Acts 2, we see the story of Pentecost, the moment when the Holy Spirit descended upon the apostles, allowing them to speak in tongues and spread the gospel to all nations. All of them were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other tongues as the Spirit enabled them. Acts 2:4. If you were born in May, you have been given the gift of communication. You are eloquent, expressive, and capable of reaching hearts with your words. Whether through speaking, writing, music, or even silent understanding, you possess the ability to convey truth in a way that others cannot ignore. And this is not by accident. Your voice was meant to be heard. Your words were meant to inspire. Your message was meant to change lives. So speak. Speak with confidence. Speak with wisdom. Speak with the knowledge that what you say has the power to heal, to uplift, to build bridges where walls once stood. You were given this gift for a reason. Use it. The May Calling. For those born in May, the message is clear. You were created to build, to create harmony where there is conflict, to build strong foundations where others crumble, to stand firm when the winds try to shake you, to speak truth when the world is filled with lies, to walk in courage when fear tries to hold you back. You are the architects of stability, the defenders of faith, the warriors of wisdom, and the world needs you. For when everything else collapses, you are the ones who rebuild. And now the question remains, what will you build? Of quiet strength. If you were born in June, you are a foundation, a pillar, a force of stability in a world that is constantly shifting. While others chase fleeting desires, you seek understanding. While others build on weak foundations, you construct fortresses of wisdom. You are not one to rush into things blindly. You plan, you observe, you calculate. Because deep down, you know that true power is not found in reckless action, but in disciplined thought. The wise builder. Jesus spoke of two kinds of people. The wise man built his house upon the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. Matthew 7:24-25. If you were born in June, you are this wise builder. You do not make decisions lightly. You weigh every choice carefully. You think before you act. You see the long-term consequences when others see only the moment. And because of this, people trust you. When the storms of life come, when everything seems to be falling apart, you remain standing, unshaken, unmoved. You do not fear difficulties because you have prepared for them, and that is what makes you different. The power of reflection. June-born individuals are deep thinkers. You do not just accept things as they are. You analyze, you question, you seek the deeper meaning. You have likely spent countless nights lost in thought, contemplating life, purpose, and the hidden truths of existence. And while others may find this exhausting, for you, it is fuel. You are a seeker of knowledge, a lover of wisdom, a mind that refuses to settle for ignorance. Like King Solomon, who prayed not for riches or power, but for understanding, you recognize that true strength is found in knowledge. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Proverbs 9:10. If you were born in June, you are a guardian of truth, a protector of wisdom, a living testament to the power of reflection. The role of the guide. Not everyone is like you. Some people rush into situations without thinking. Others are lost in the chaos of their own emotions. And that is why you are here, because you are the guide. You see the path before others do. You recognize the dangers ahead. You understand what must be done. And even if they do not always listen, you offer clarity where there is confusion. You were not placed on this earth to follow blindly. You were placed here to lead, to show others the way forward, to help them find stability in their own lives. And while this may sometimes feel like a burden, remember this. The world needs those who can see beyond the moment. The world needs those who can think before acting, plan before moving, and understand before judging. The world needs you. The significance of June 24th. If you were born on June 24th, your calling is even greater. This is the birth date of John the Baptist, the one who prepared the way for Christ. A voice of one calling in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord, make straight paths for him. Mark 1:3. John was not the Messiah, but he was the one who made sure people were ready for his arrival. And if you share this birth date, your life too carries the mission of preparation. You are meant to help others find their purpose, their path, their truth. You may not always receive recognition, Your work may often go unnoticed, but know this: without John, many would not have been ready for Christ. And without you, many will not find the clarity they need. Your role is crucial. Your mission is sacred. Born for balance. June-born souls are not just seekers of wisdom, they are keepers of balance. In a world that swings between extremes, you walk the middle path. You understand when to speak and when to listen. You know when to act and when to wait. You recognize when to stand firm and when to be flexible. And this is why people turn to you, because in you they find stability, they find wisdom, they find peace. But do not forget, you too need rest, because a pillar can only hold so much before it begins to crack. And while you may feel the weight of the world on your shoulders, remember that you are not alone. Even the strongest must find moments of stillness. Even the wisest must seek guidance. Even the most stable must lean on the rock that is greater than all. The June calling. For those born in June, the message is clear. You were created to build, to think deeply when others act recklessly, to offer stability when the world is crumbling, to prepare the way for others to find their purpose, to seek truth, to share wisdom, to lead with clarity. Your life is a pillar, a structure that holds up not only yourself but those around you. And the world is stronger because of it. And now the question remains, what will you build? They are divine signposts, reminders that God's hand has been upon you since the beginning. January 1st, March 3rd, May 12th, July 7th, December 25th. If you were born on these dates, your life is woven into a greater design. And if you were born under the sign of Pisces, February 19th, March 20th, your calling is even clearer. To be a fisher of men, to guide others toward the light, to lead souls home. Your birth was not random. Your existence is not meaningless. You were chosen. And now the question remains, will you step into your divine purpose?